alanganan. Alam ng puso sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang inilang, duyan ka ng magiting. Sa manlulutig, di ka pasisiil. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong buhaw. May dalagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang isap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magnining. Lupa ng araw ng walhating pagsuka, kulay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pag may mga alis na pumatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Morning. Okay, here we go. All right, I am Dante Ang, the President and CEO of the Manila Times. Let's get our program started. Honorable Mikey Romero, House Deputy Speaker. Ms. Marley Balcao, Proprietor and CEO of Marnell's Cake House. Mr. Robert Yupanco, Vice Chairman of the Yupanco Group, as well as President and CEO of the Humanity Group. My co-host, Grace Bondad Nicolas. Colleagues in the Manila Times, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to today's forum on the pandemic heroes and CEOs. I hope that today's discussion will be a learning experience for all those listening and participating today on effectively dealing with the pandemic. I wish I could say that some of us here were sharing lessons learned from a crisis that has now passed, but it's becoming evident that COVID-19 will remain with us for years to come. If we were hoping for a clear break marked by an obvious end in the health crisis, and the beginning of the recovery from its economic impact, we may be in for a disappointment. Polio, for instance, took 3 decades to nearly eradication, and lately we have seen new cases. Another example is smallpox, which took more than 180 years to eradicate even after the vaccine for it was developed. And even today, children are inoculated for smallpox. Given that, we need to move forward despite the lingering health crisis. Meanwhile, people need to work and earn a living. Children will continue to grow regardless of the health situation. And as they do, they may be better off in school, where some of them will become scientists, doctors, nurses, and other frontliners, again, working against the COVID-19 and future pandemics. Nations, for their part, will need to work on rebuilding their economies. Of course, moving forward despite the pandemic is not without risks. When new cases spike in some places, the authorities may impose quarantine that contain the disease in those areas, rather than in large swaths of the country. Vaccine development should continue to blunt the impact of new strains which is important because COVID-19 has shown an ability to mutate quickly. That feature may also suggest that inoculations may be required more than once in our lifetime, perhaps from time to time when new strains spread to large areas. Businesses may be interrupted when there are spikes, but these should not be any different from the precautions we take when typhoons bear down on us. And after brief breaks, we simply resume our work to propel the economic engine forward. This is perhaps where the input shared today might be helpful. The insights on how we have dealt with COVID-19 so far might be useful to those who will bear the mantle of leadership in various organizations in the future that will likely include COVID-19. Granted, hindsight may reveal later that our actions today were wrong, but as some say, even mistakes can be instructive. I will end here because I'm sure that all of you are eager to hear what our speakers have to say. But before moving forward, allow me to express our appreciation to all those who made this event possible. Thank you to our co-presenter, Tag Media Group. Thank you to our sponsors, One Pacman Party List, who's represented by our Deputy Speaker here today, KMV Media, Marnell's Cakehouse, Yupanco Group, and our media partner, TMT TV. And of course, thank you to all those watching this event today and at a later date. I hope that our inputs will be useful. So now let me move on to introduce our first speaker. He's none less than the Deputy Speaker, Representative Michael Romero. He's had several achievements in Congress. As Deputy Speaker, he has done the following achievements. He is the President of the 54-strong party-list coalition bloc in the House of Representatives. He is one of the leaders in Congress, being second in command as Deputy Speaker from 2019 to today. In his present term in office, he was a Senior Assistant Majority Leader from 2016 to 2019. From 2016 to today, he has made more than 700 House bills. 56 of his House bills were made into law already, making him one of the most productive congressmen of our time. He was awarded the most outstanding congressman by the Superbrands International Organization and other organizations from 2016 to 2021. He is the richest Filipino congressman and legislator from 2016 until today. As a businessman, Deputy Speaker Romero has achievements as well. He has built business empires from scratch. He is in the following industries: port terminal operations, Global Port, North Port Manila, Manila North Harbor Terminal, Harbor Center Port Terminal, and Global Port Terminals in Zamboanga City, Osamis, Iligan, and Tacloban cities. He's also in the airline industries. He owns 60% of AirAsia Philippines and Zest Airways. He is in the power industry. He operates and manages the whole Zamboanga City Power Distribution Utility through his Crown Investments Incorporated. He owns and operates the Fort Pilar Energy, which owns 40 megawatts of the Digos Solar Power Plant, the 650 megawatt Malaya Thermal Plant in Pililia, Rizal, and the 100 megawatt Battery Energy Storage System, or BESS, in Zamboanga Peninsula. He's in township development through his Global City Mandawi Group, and he's also into mining and engineering. In 2013, 14, 16, and 17, Forbes Asia declared Representative Mikey Romero as one of the Philippines' top 50 richest Filipinos. He celebrated his 40th birthday. So happy birthday, Congressman. So he's very young. In sports, he's also well accomplished. As Deputy Speaker, he has done the following. In 2019, he captained the Philippine national polo team to a bronze medal finish during the 30th Southeast Asian Games held in Manila. In basketball, he owns the PBA team Global Port and now Northport Batang Pier, and likewise the 7-time PBL champions Harbor Center. In 2010, he owned the inaugural ASEAN Basketball League, or ABL champions, the Philippine Patriots. He was formerly the chairman of the following committees: the Philippine Basketball Association in 2017, the Philippine Basketball League in 2019, the WPBL in 2010, and he was also the manager of the Philippine basketball team that won the 2007 Southeast Asian Games gold medal. He was the former president of several organizations, including the National Sports Association of the Philippines, the International Cycling Federation of the Philippines in 2010, and the Philippine National Shooting Association in 2011 and 2012. He was also founding director of the SAM Basketball League, the Samahan Basketball ng Pilipinas, and Baseball Philippines. He received 2 doctoral degrees one in political economy and another in management. He took up his master's in business administration from the Asian Institute of Management. With that, Congressman Romero, or should I say Deputy Speaker Romero, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Clint. Good morning to Grace, Bondad, Nicolas, and to all the Manila Times organizers of this event. Good morning. I just have to correct, I'm not 40 years old. That was 9 years or 10 years ago. But thank you.
I was hoping to embellish, Deputy Speaker.
That's a very big compliment. But again, I congratulate the Manila Times for putting up such event. We need these events in order to really drum up the COVID-19 responses by both the government and the private sector. No? So anyway, good day and good day, everyone. And again, first and foremost, I would like to extend my gratitude and appreciation to the organizers and hosts of this forum, of course, Dante Klink Ang, President and CEO of Manila Times, Ms. Grace Bondad Nicolas, President of the American Association of the Philippines, for organizing this forum, for us to share and learn from the experiences in handling the COVID-19 pandemic of the various captains of the industry present here today, namely Ms. Merly Balicao of Marnell's Cake House, and my good friend Robert Yupanco of the Yupanco Group and Zumanity Group. So anyway, our title of this webinar today are the pandemic heroes, and I thank you for calling us such CEOs. No? Anyway, the great Dr. Martin Luther once said, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenges and controversy." True enough, each and every single one of us were tested and were continually tested by the unprecedented disruption brought about this COVID-19 crisis to our lives. Rest assured that the legislative branch has quickly adopted various measures to ensure that the legislative meal continues despite the threat of the COVID-19 pandemic. As early as March 23, 2020, your House of Representatives has conducted its first ever virtual session, heeding the call of the Executive Department to convene several special sessions for special powers to the President to deal with COVID-19. You know, our own rules in the House. No? Sa House kasi we have our own rules. No? The rules does not really pertain to the judicial branch or the executive branch broaching or nakikialam dito sa aming mga internal rules. So our internal rules, for the first ever in the history of the House, we opened our floors to virtual or hybrid sessions. No? As before, you have to be physically present in the House of Representatives in order for you to be part of the plenary sessions. But we have opened our rules so that it will be hybrid, meaning some will be virtually present and some will be physically present in the House of Representatives. So that's one of the new rules all over the world that has made the new normal for our parliamentary or legislative processes. So during the COVID-19 pandemic period alone, the House of Representatives has processed 6,219 House bills. 571 House bills were approved on third and final reading, and 102 House bills were enacted into Republic Acts or laws. Last year on March 24th, we swiftly passed House Bill number 6616, which eventually became Republic Act 11469, or the Bayanihan to Hillas 1, Bayanihan 1. It gave the President special powers ranging from faster procurement of essential goods, provision of financial assistance to low-income and other, ito na yung Bayanihan 1 is the first of our ayudas. No? On June of 2020, which is after about 3 months, the House again passed Republic Act 11494, or the Bayanihan to Recover as One Act, Bayanihan 2. It was a 165.5 billion peso COVID-19 pandemic response fund to ensure that the government had enough resources to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. Furthermore, on June 1, 2021, or a year after, your House of Representatives again passed House Bill number 9411, otherwise known as the Bayanihan 3, which is another 400.6 billion peso, which should be implemented in 3 phases to serve as a lifeline for our countrymen who are suffering from unemployment and, again, hunger during this pandemic. Apart from this above-mentioned bills, other bills that I have filed which became into law have aided our country's response to the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic that has devastated the lives of each and every Filipino. You know, this is one of my advocacies. No? I'm the big proponent of the 4-piece law, or otherwise known as Republic Act 11310, or the Special Amelioration Program, more commonly known as the Ayuda 4-piece, no? Pantawid Pamilya Program. You know, this is the law that is supposed to uplift the lives of Filipinos from poverty and alleviate their lives. So this 4-piece law that I am espousing is a worldwide answer to the poverty alleviation in the whole world. No? It has been done in Brazil or any other countries who are poverty stricken. No? And if you look at the history of this type of law, nag-umpisa to sa, you know, if you look at Vietnam and Indonesia, they were double-digit poverty stricken, meaning maybe 50% of their entire population does not eat 2-3 times a day. So it's the government's role to feed them on their 3rd meal. So the premise of this is that government can dole out money as long as your children goes to school and finishes at least high school. No? So once you graduate, once your children or the children of these Filipinos graduate, then magtatrabaho na rin yan. And once they go to work, they will be earning more than double what they're earning before. No? The poverty line is about 12,000 pesos below. So a family of 5 earning 12,000 pesos belongs to the below poverty line. So once mag-graduate yung anak nila and makapagtrabaho, so they now earn at least 24,000, which makes them graduate from the poverty line. No? So these are the special laws that we have to ensure para mawala ang ating poverty. Now poverty is 23, it went down to 16, but I think it will come back again because of the pandemic to the 20s level. So anyway, that's the 4-piece law. My second law out of the 56 that I enacted is the Universal Health Care, no, or otherwise known as the Republic Act 11228, no, or the mandatory field health coverage for all PWDs. Another law that I want to share with you, which I did, was the Doktor Para sa Bayan Act, which is instrumental in providing scholarship and allowances to our future doctors. No, it gives because of our lack of doctors, we made I made a bill, which eventually became a law just recently, providing scholarships, full scholarships, kasama ng miscellaneous, to the uh, doctor wannabes and who are trying to um, um, all over the Philippines yung mga gustong mag-apply as future doctors of our country, no? Or frontliners. No? So one of my bills, a fourth of my bill, which became a law, also is the Occupational Safety and Health Standards Act, or otherwise known as Republic Act 11058. This ensures that hardworking Filipino workers will be provided with protection in their workplace against COVID-19. No? This is one of the few bills that are close to my heart. The second one is the Eddie Garcia Act, which Eddie Garcia was my stepfather. So because of health and safety protocols, he na-aksidente siya sa set, and I told myself and I told the industry that this will never happen again. So I've put up the Eddie Garcia bill, and it has passed through the third reading. Hopefully it passes the Senate also para to add to the occupational safety and health standards of the film, movie, and TV industry. The Republic Act number 10931, otherwise known as the Free Tuition Fee Law, and the Free Internet Access in Public Places are the two laws which ensure that the Filipino students will continue with their education despite the COVID-19 pandemic through distance learning solutions. There are several laws that we put up in the House of Representatives to cope up with the tax reform packages of the country, or tax reform recovery. Now, one is the train law, and which brought down the income taxes of Filipinos, and the other one is the create law, which is supposed to aid the business sector in revitalizing their business in order to generate jobs for Filipino workers. The create law is actually bringing down the taxes of the businesses, the various businesses, from 32 to 25% down to 22%. No? May sunset provision to, on this. No? In relation to our country's COVID-19 vaccination program, so these are the things naman na I want to expound. No? Despite the many laws that I have done, I want to push the vaccination program of the country. No? We need to vaccinate 60% of our population. No? That's the standard. I have just been to the United States recently, and it seems that everything is going back to normal in the United States as well as in Europe because of their vaccination programs. No? So we need to inoculate about 60% of the 110 million Filipinos that we have, which is about 66 million Filipinos, 66.1 million Filipinos. No? And in order to do this, we have to fully vaccinate. At this stage in time, we have only 29% of our Filipinos being fully vaccinated, or about 20 million Filipinos. So, ang layo pa natin. No? So, we need to vaccinate another remaining 47 million in order to reach our goal of about 60%. This is the herd immunity. No? So, we need to vaccinate at least 466,000, or about 460 67,000 per day, in addition to the 94,618 vaccinations from our current daily of 371. So talagang it has to be a program vaccination in order for all Filipinos to be vaccinated this December 2021. So in order to achieve this, the Philippines should enlist the aid of our international partners who have now our surplus of COVID-19 vaccines, such as the United States, in order to purchase COVID-19 vaccines for the country. So in relation to this, one of the things that I also espouse is it's a combination, no? To stop our lockdowns. We have to combine the vaccination programs of our country to the increasing in bed capacity in the whole NCR as well as the various regions. No? The reason why we are doing many lockdowns in our country, and I'm not justifying because I'm not for lockdowns also, but the reason is that our public health system cannot cope up with the increase in COVID, okay, because of probably we lack the beds, or probably we lack the technology, or the duration of COVID-19 patients in hospitals are prolonged because of the lacking technical skills, maybe not. So those are the things that really we need to increase our ability, the bed capacity, the technology of our COVID-19 responses, in order for our public health system to be better in terms of management. To elaborate further, I would like to show you a matrix of the Bayanihan 1 and 2. Okay, no, the Bayanihan 1, we have allocated 270 billion. Of course, it is the role of the executive or the government of President Duterte to how to spend this or how to implement this allocation. But we have allocated several pandemic response. No? The Bayanihan 1 is 270 billion, which gave us, I think, ayuda of 6,000 to 8,000 to about 90 million Filipinos for about 3 months, which was the first ECQ. And then we followed it up with another 165 billion in June of 2020. And the Bayanihan 3 is still in, it has passed our House of Representatives, so it's now in the Senate. But with regards to the Bayanihan 3, the executive branch or the Department of Finance are looking for funds still on how to fund this 406.6 billion. So this is how we put this all together, no? But please note that the legislative branch or kami po sa House of Representatives, our role is just to create or enact laws or enact budgets. No? The actual implementation on how the government, the executive government runs it, we are completely independent of that. We have no roles in executive management. Our role is strictly on enacting and legislating this type of laws. Rest assured that the House of Representatives continue to be ready and able to respond to the needs of our countrymen during this ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. And together, of course, we will come out of this pandemic stronger as one. I end my presentation with this, but I really hope that we are trying our best in the House of Representatives to come up with as many laws and COVID-19 responses, stimulus package. But, our hands are also tied up sometimes. The Senate has to do its counterpart as well as the executive or the government of President Duterte to also step up. Thank you very much. Thank you, Flink.
Thank you, Congressman. Grace, how are you?
Yes,
Always good
hi,
to see
President
you.
Blink. Yes, it's very overwhelming also to, while I'm watching and reading the presentation of our Honorable Congressman Mikey Romero, it really, really gives us more inspiration. It's very inspiring, and I hope that a lot will motivate also for today. And what really caught my attention also, President Blink, the RA 11509 or the Doctor para sa Bayan. Imagine it's very hard really to have tuition for the children. Pero with the Honorable Congressman, free tuition and also the miscellaneous. That's really good, and thank you so much, Congressman.
Congressman, I
Yes,
hope you
sir.
have time to stay later on for Q&A, but I'm sorry, you're going to say I cut you off.
No, sorry. Is it a question and answer or what's the process after pa ba?
What is your schedule like? Would you?
I'll wait.
Oh, okay. All right.
No,
Yeah. So we were hoping to hear from the other speakers, but yeah, glad to see that thing that Congress is where I have a lot of questions actually about what's going on in Congress, particularly with the budget, and of course, where everyone's interested also what your plans are for next year. But Grace is the master of ceremonies here. Maybe I'll leave it to Grace. What's next, Grace?
All right, so we're going to have actually the panel discussion later on, Congressman.
Okay.
So I'm going to introduce first, of course, the second speaker. She's actually, so that everyone can listen also and to be inspired more. So our second speaker, and thank you so much. It's actually my pleasure to introduce one of the leading and very successful entrepreneur in Laguna. So actually, it's very overwhelming. Rags to riches, the story. So to start with, okay, she's actually the owner and CEO of Mernels. Proves the notion wrong that you need to be moneyed to pay the tuition of cooking schools and eventually start your own restaurant if you want to enter a career in food industry. Merly and her husband, Nelson Balicao, have nonetheless managed to start and make a food business prosper. And today, the couple has not just thriving business, but has a BPO-like commissary. If you're going to be in Los Baños, you're going to be overwhelmed with the building that they own. Actually, imagine from rags to riches. And now it's 3 official stores, a full-service food catering business, and a 3-story venue with a state-of-the-art kitchen, several function rooms, and a grand ballroom that can accommodate or cater 200 to 250 guests. And during this pandemic, which is, that's why Merly Balicao is here with us. Okay, Merly still continued to build Mernel Commissary in order to produce volume. As leader, she continues business operation and process improvement geared to a new normal and help not just her organization but beyond. Okay, so the employees and promote the brand as a resilient company that stood the test for 25 years in existence. Mernel, known as the homegrown brand of chocolate cake at Los Baños in the province of Laguna, has captivated the taste buds of consumers and has become the small town favorite cake house. Though word of mouth, Mernel's famous chocolate cake is now nationwide. So to start with and to hear more from this famous chocolate cake house, let's all welcome Merly Mendoza Balicao.
Magandang umaga po sa ating mga viewers at magandang umaga din po kay Congressman Michael Romero and kay Sir Robert Yupanco at sa lahat din po ng staff ng Manila Times po. At lahat din po ng mga nakikinig ngayon at mga kaibigan namin na nakakandit dito. So ang isa pa po ay it's an honor and a very good opportunity to be with all of you today. Kasi po hindi rin po talaga ako ganun ka active sa mga ganito. So this is my first time, so excuse me or pardon me kung may mga iba po, kung hindi ko po talaga maano yung fluency ng lahat ng sasabihin ko. So, and I'd like to thank Sir Dante Ang II of Manila Times and Ma'am Grace Bondad Nicolas of Tag Media. So today, I'd like to introduce myself. Although non-introduced na po, I am Merly Mendoza Balicao, the owner of Mernel's Cake House and Variety Shop and Mernel's Place Los Baños Inc. So kami po ay nagpo-produce ng iba't ibang flavors ng cake. Pero po, ang tumatak sa mga tao ay ang aming pong famous chocolate cake. At ito din po ay yung mga puso-puso, mga heart-shaped cakes po. And homegrown po kami. It's a family business po. Nag-start po ako, then nagkaasawa, and then yung mga anak ko po, and then mga relatives din po. At ngayon po ay more than 100 na po kami. So from a prayer of 3 cakes a day, ngayon po, pagka po peak season, maabot na po siya ng, dati po 3, naging 300, naging 30, 300. And now po, pag peak season po, maabot na po siya ng 3,000. So I thank God na binigyan kami ng blessing na ito. At hindi lang naman po ito para sa amin. Ito po ay para din makatulong kami sa mga makapag-hire kami ng employees na makakatulong tayo sa ating community, makakatulong tayo sa ating government. Kasi kung marami pong mga small and medium enterprises na yung mga tao na hindi nakatapos at na-train mo lang sila, magkakaroon din po sila ng magandang hanap buhay na makakapag-sustain sa kanilang family. And ang aming pong business ay hindi lang po sikat sa Los Baños, ito po ay nadadala na rin sa ibang parte ng Pilipinas at ganoon din po sa ibang bansa. At ito po ay aming may pagmamalaki kasi po ang lasa po niya ay bukod sa mura na, masarap at yummy, sabi po nila. At ito naman po ay ang mga message, ang aming pong cake ay hindi lang sa tamis, sa pait at sa dekorasyon. Ito po ay nagbibigay din ng mga storya ng buhay ng tao. Kasi po ang mga messages na inilalagay dito ay mga touching stories po. So may mga nagme-message po sa akin na kaya sila ay nagkatuluyan sa kakadala niya ng Mernel's Cake. And merong mag-asawang magkakahiwalay na sa kakarigalo niya ng Mernel's heart-shaped cake. So nagkakaayos po sila. So may mga stories behind po. Hindi lang po basta siya cake. Ang ano din po dito ng aming mga customers ay yung mga messages po na parang card. At kami po ay nagpapasalamat din sa lahat ng customers namin na mula noong day 1 at ngayon po ay 25th anniversary na po ng Mernel's. So kami po ay nagsimula sa walang-wala, nagsimula sa isang lapad na mantika at konting itlog at ngayon naman po ay marami na pong ingredients at marami na rin po kaming employees. At ang isa pa pong maganda ngayon ay sa blessing po ng mahal na Panginoon, natapos din po yung aming komisari na inabot po ng pandemic. So napakahirap po ng time na ito na may construction ka and at the same time, merong nakakatakot na virus. At kami po ay talagang malaking pasasalamat sa lahat ng aming customers, sa aming mga employees at sa aming pong mga suppliers po. At ang Mernel's po ay hindi lang po para sa pangsarili. Ito po ay maraming natutulungan. Meron din po kami mga student na OJT natutulungan. Yung mga nagre-research din po, yung mga thesis nila, mga term papers. And marami din pong taong tumatakbo at nanghingi ng tulong na may mga may sakit, may mga anak. So marami po. Kami po ay naririto sa munting bagay po na aming maitutulong. Hindi naman po ako pag tinitingnan ko po ang iba na truck-truck na bigas at truck-truck na mga donasyon, hindi ko na po tinitingnan yon. Ang sa akin po kung anong kaya naming maitulong sa bawat mga kalamidad, sa bawat, lalo po ngayon na pandemic, na ang daming tao na nangangailangan ng tulong, ang daming taong nagugutom, ang daming taong walang hanap buhay sapagkat nagsara po ang maraming establishment ngayon. So ito po ang amin ngayong mission na makatulong din po kami sa ibang tao. At ngayon po, para sa iba pang kaalaman, meron po kaming pin-repair na audiovisual presentation. So pwede po nating matingnan.
Good day everyone, mabuhay! This is Mernel's Cakehouse and Variety Shop entry for 2021 Productivity Olympics with the theme Bounce Back Better. The town of Los Baños in the province of Laguna is known for its homegrown brand of chocolate cake. For decades, Mernel's Cakehouse has captivated the taste buds of consumers and has become the small town's favorite cake house. Merly and Nelson Balicao, the couple behind Mernel's Cakehouse, officially started Mernel's in January 1996, and now celebrating its silver anniversary as a resilient company that stood the test of 25 years in existence. Mernel's vision mission: to make Mernel's nationally known and become part of every Filipino occasions and celebrations. For mission: to continuously offer high quality and affordable products, provide more jobs and opportunities, and help alleviate poverty. Core values: here are some of our awards and recognitions. For 2018, Asia Leaders Company of the Year, Ms. Merly M. Balicao, Asia Leaders Leadership Awardee. For 2019, Bayani ng Kalikasan Awardee for Los Baños, Laguna. RTWPB Region 4A Productivity Olympics Regional Winner for 2019. 2020 Asia Leaders Awards Best SME Company of the Year for Food and Beverage. Despite the pandemic, we developed a business continuity plan that can help increase our sales without sacrificing our employees' health and welfare. Let me discuss with you our business continuity plan for us to bounce back better. Mernel's Business Continuity Plan. Objectives: to continue business operations and process improvement geared to the new normal. Drive the company continuously expand amidst the ongoing pandemic. Support and protect the welfare and livelihood of Mernel's employees. Promote the brand as a resilient company that stood the test of 25 years in existence. Here are the strategies that we use for our business continuity plan and its effectiveness. Of course, first, we managed to remain calm and focus on our vision mission. Amidst a pandemic, we still continue to build our commissary in order for us to produce volume of cake orders. For marketing and sales, rebranding of our product, website development as a strategy implemented, having a result of remarkable recall and improve on our image in one or more ways, hitting our goals of becoming more relevant, more competitive, and more profitable in our target market. Other strategies implemented for marketing and sales are utilizations of online ordering, utilizations of online payment through bank transfer and GCash payment for cashless payment, having a result for fast and hassle-free transaction, more safe and convenient for our customers, and additional sales in terms of these platforms. For our events and catering services, reconfigurations of service by offering food orders in bulk or in food trays, aiming increase in the demand for our delivery order. For our personal health and safety, we strictly adhere to the health and safety protocols as stated by the IATF and guided with memo. And as a result, an infection control and management lower rates to 0% of COVID-19 cases for 2020. postings of signages on COVID-19 guidelines and protocols. Enforce social distancing measures. Daily monitoring of body temperature and health declaration. Proper hand washing. Provisions of alcohol, face mask, and face shield. During the lockdown, a point-to-point shuttle services for employees who are reporting to work. Impact of strategies being implemented from our business continuity plan. Having the constructions of our new commissary, acquisitions of large-scale equipment, proper employees training, people empowerment in different areas of the business, and utilizations of marketing and other online platform has been our support technology in achieving our goals for the company. Catering our resellers' bulk orders during the pandemic have been our major breakthrough. As you could see on the 2020 sales performance, there's a low number of customers but with a high percentage growth on sales have become our inspiration to bounce back in the business world. After the declarations of state calamity throughout the Philippines on May 16, 2020, here are some alternative flexible work arrangements that we have implemented. For IT and other related support, we provided some of our employees of laptop, cell phones with only plans, computers, printers, thermal scanners, and LB Lab scanners for community-based contact tracing. For learning and development, since our priority is the health and safety of our employees, we managed to have these programs to ensure that they are safe and to prevent COVID-19 transmission. A continuous learning by providing lectures and seminars regarding 7S training program, GMP training program, food safety training program, and 7 good habits for highly effective people. We also attended the Productivity-Based Incentive Scheme last June 15, 2020, and BCP webinar by NWPC last October 22, 2020. As for our corporate social responsibility program, what we called Malasakit sa Kapwa, a Marnell's way of bringing back to the community. We extend our help to the affected barangay of Los Baños by the Typhoon Ulysses. For our post-pandemic business continuity plan, we vision to be one of the leading franchisor in the Philippines with 1,000 business network by 2030, with profitable stores, positive growth, highly engaged employees, and an organization that adheres to the principles of CSRs. Expectations through employees with remarkable competence and commitment, and an organization with high community relations. For our other future plans and programs, and in celebrations of the 25th year anniversary of Marnell's, we're about to launch the Marnell's Scholarship Program and Marnell's Housing Program. Thank you so much for your time. This is Ronald Calibo, the Operation Manager for Marnell's Cakehouse and Variety Shop, wishing you good health and God bless. Saying, kapag produktibo, aasenso.
That's one truly amazing and fantastic presentation. And also, of course, as we know, the housing program, we're looking forward for that. So again, Ms. Merly, you can continue if you have some more presentation.
Yun lang po ang masasabi ko ngayon na sana po hopefully na ito pong napakahirap din pong matawag na pandemic heroes kasi hindi ganun kadali. It's not an easy job. So parang sa akin, kailangan balansehin natin ang pandemya, ang COVID-19 and then ang ating economy, which is talagang may kahirapan dahil po sa mga adjustment natin sa ating workforces, sa mga ang mobility hindi ganun kadali. So laging, minsan di mo alam kung anong meron ngayon, ECQ, MECQ or whatever. So hindi rin po madali sa isang business ang, lalo pag food, hindi mo alam kung saan ka lalagay, kung ikaw ba ay mamimili ng ingredients o hindi, or sino bang mga tao or empleyado mo. So sa akin lang po, thankful po ako na nakasama dito sa ating pandemic heroes na ito kasi nga po, pinilit ko rin po na kahit sabi ko nga napakahirap magbukas or mag-operate with this kind of situation kasi po ako po sobra ding panic, nervyos, at siyempre minsan di nyo rin maalis at human being lang na-anxiety rin. Pero we have to move forward, we have to be strong. Kumbaga resilient tayo. Hindi pwedeng sabihin natin na ganitong panahon, titigil na tayo. Paano naman yung mga tao na maapektuhan? Hindi lang isa, dalawa. Marami sila. And besides, maraming tao rin po ang talagang umaasa sa amin. So talagang ako po ay nagpapasalamat at nakasama ako dito ngayon. And I'd like also to thank all the frontliners, yung po mga nasa medical field. So from time to time po, kahit simpleng message lang, nagpapadala kami ng cake, thanking them and ina-acknowledge namin yung mga neighboring, mga dito lang pong hospital sa Los Baños. Pinapasalamatan po namin sila sa pagiging hero nila kasi talagang napakahirap ang sitwasyon. So sa amin po, ano man po ang aming kakayanan na makatulong sa ibang tao at sa aming empleyado, gagawin po namin at I pray to the Lord na bigyan pa kami ng strength at maging resilient and sana po wag susuko sa lahat ng hamon ng panahon kasi dapat magiging makaka-adjust din tayo lalo na itong pandemic ay hindi biro pero it's a whole world problem at hindi kayang solusyonan ng isa o dalawa. Maraming natutulong-tulong pero hindi pa rin siya na susolusyonan. Pero ang ano po namin ngayon, yung aming mga employees, hinihikayat namin ng vaccination. Sa ano pong paraan, nagbibigay din po ako ng isang round na cake para sila, kung fully vaccinated sila, they will get one round cake na may nakalagay na message kung kailan, anong pangalan, kailan at anong vaccine sila na-vaccinate. So, thankful po ako and thank you po sa lahat sa inyo. Thank you Ma'am Grace and sa lahat po talaga na napasama po ako sa mga higan. Mga ano po talagang thankful po ako na hindi ko po not even in my dream na makakasama ako sa mga ganitong pagkakataon. Kasi po, pagka iisipin ko lang parang panaginip ba ito or from the time po na sabi ko sa inyo na galing po kami sa sobrang hirap na it's a hand-to-mouth existence po. Na nung kami bata pa, swerte na kung makakain kami ng isang beses maghapon. At ang payo po ng tatay ko, kahit tayo naghihirap, huwag kayong gagawa ng masama. At kung umasenso kayo, hahangaan kayo ng maraming tao. At again po, maraming salamat Ma'am Grace at kay Sir Dante Ang po ng Manila Times.
Okay, so thank you so much once again to Miss Merly Balicaw of Mernel. So it's very overwhelming, very inspirational talaga, the presentation, and everything comes from your heart. So we're really inspired, and I hope that a lot of people right now who are watching, actually, I check also the comment section. You have a lot of followers, and thankful for all those things that you did for them. So truly, if you think that you're not a pandemic hero, to them, you are. All right? So thank you so much once again. and later on, you're going to be with us to answer, of course, some of the questions from our team and also from the comment section. So again, thank you so much, Ed. But lastly and not the least, we have another speaker with us. He's actually the grandson of our former president, Jose P. Laurel, and the vice chairman of Philippine Korean Chamber. Actually, he's very known as the Superman in the Philippines, Superman, because of the 5 zoos and managing 5 theme parks actually here in the Philippines. If you've been to Subic Safari in Subic, Paradiso in Mendez Cavite, Succulent Trails in Bohol, and of course Sucobia in Clark, Pampanga, and another one, Suri in Residence in Tagaytay, and also of course one in Japan. That's actually under Robert Laurel Yupanco. All right, so he graduated actually at De La Salle University with a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, then continued his education at Asian Institute of Management, Harvard Business School, and the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania in USA. His influence includes the parents and family, which includes the late Vice President of the Philippines, Salvador Doy Laurel, where he served as one of his campaign manager during his time. And now, with so many restaurants also, if you heard about Samgyup Salamat, Anli City, and a lot more, that's actually his. Okay, he franchised some of them, like 5 here in the Philippines nationwide, 1 in San Pablo City, and Quezon City, Tagaytay, and also in Subic, and now, even during pandemic, under Humanity Group, highlights the Humanity trading for product distributorship that includes selling essential goods as part of its portfolio and product lines. This is to help the employees. Actually, he's not receiving anything from the sales. It's all for the employee so that they can still receive more. And don't forget, he's not just the Superman here in the Philippines. He's also the piano man. Why? Because his parents actually bring here the Yamaha instruments in 1967. So that's like more than 50 years already. And the Yap Music, which is the modern concept developed by Yupanco and located in Ayala Malls by the Bay. All right, that's actually in Pasay. And don't forget, the last business, actually, even though he owns 30 businesses, the last business that is going to launch is the first wax museum here in the Philippines. So let's listen and learn more. Okay, let's all welcome Robert Laurel Yupanco.
Thank you. Yes. Ayun yung presentation ko, Grace. Sa dami mo in-explain. No, but anyway, I'd like to thank firstly Manila Times to Dante Ang, okay, and then Grace, okay, and then I'd like to congratulate Congressman, of course, Mikey, and then of course our the speaker, which is of course the what they call that shop, okay, by Merly. Okay. Now let me explain first just my principle in business. And then I'd like to give you a little background of what we do in our company. You know, I'll start first with our principle. Okay, so can we go to the first slide? Yes. Firstly, for everybody who has a business, you have to. Peter Drucker said the purpose of business is to create and treat customers. So this is now the challenge that we have ahead of us. No? Next slide. Okay, and then this is nothing but marketing and innovation. Now, to digital now. Nag-twist tayo ng konti or pivot. No? Next. Okay, these are what are predictable. So medyo mahaba, but you can see it and you can just copy it later or what. But these are the predictables. So kailangan alam mo yung predictables because these are the things you can control. Yung hindi mo ma-predict, you cannot control it. So don't worry about it. Yun yung point na gusto kong sabihin. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, kailangan naiintindihan natin. Well, this is a theory of Maslow. Okay, so yan na yung 5 theory niya. So first, the self-fulfillment, tapos esteem, love, safety needs, and psychological needs. However, ang Filipinos hierarchy of need happen to this way. Next slide, please. Okay, ayan na yung so very funny, nadagdagan yung internet, wifi, and battery ng cellphones, etc., etc. In the province is battery for lights, and so on. So, yan na yung kakuha natin ating hierarchy of needs. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the game plan that I'd like to share, no? First you have to survive. Parang picture mo parang fire brigade ka, okay, bombero, no? Sa sunog, no? And then you have to move on. So you have your armed forces, then you attack your enemy, okay, which is digital, sales, innovation, etc. And then ito na nga yung key, transformation, which is metamorphosis, which means para bang from a caterpillar na mabagal lumakad, you have to now pivot to a butterfly, which is very fast and should be even faster than a butterfly. So this is what I wanted to push, because your company is before a dinosaur. The new normal now, you have to kill the old company, as to say it's straightforward. No? Next slide, please. Okay, so ito yung metamorphosis na in-explain ko. Next slide, please. Okay, ito yung decoding the economics of COVID-19. So ano yung wala nang losers, wala nang potential business at the moment, you can park it for a while and then go pivot to potential winners like food, yung ginagawa ni Merly, okay, and then go into power, which is ginagawa ni, of course, ni Congressman, and then, of course, in other things, you know, farming, etc. Next slide, please. Okay. Ito yun ang kinds of people that exist, no? Number one, you make things happen like Lazada, Shopee. Okay. The second one is you copy things happen. So you just copy. Okay, like I think Tok Bayon and all of this, no? And then yung iba, yung third and fourth is what we don't want to happen. You watch na lang this happen, nandun ka lang. Okay, and then last but not the least, you're surprised what happened. What happened to you, what happened to your business, and what happened to your financial needs. So, yun na yung I want to share that to everybody. Next slide, please. Okay. I'm a believer now of the famous thoughts of Schumacher. He just simply said, small, beautiful. So, start small. Big, and then start small and grow it like what Merly did in her bake shop. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, the Pareto principle is it's a principle, the 80-20 rule. So, look at your business and say, ano yung 20% that gives 80% of the business or the income? No? Ano yung 80% that you do that's only contributing 20%? Your idea is to focus on the income, the majority, which is the 80% revenues. No? Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is what Napoleon Bonaparte everybody, like what Grace is doing now in Manila Times and different people, the businessman, they say, may hope pa naman. Don't get so depressed. No? So yun yung points na gusto kong i-relay. Next slide, please. Okay. This one are determinants of most important demand in the market. You can read that later on. Next slide, please. Okay, also this one, explaining the channels and what are the industries that suffered, like the airline, etc. So you don't want to touch that part, no? Okay, that business. Next slide, please. Okay, before, you must have 3 quotients. The IQ, okay, the EQ, which is emotional quotient, okay, and then the SQ, the social quotient. Okay. Yung social quotient, hindi ka na ngayon masyadong nakaka-pasyal, makaka-attend ng mga parties or whatever. Ito yung dinadagdag ko. A and AQ, which means adversity and audacious quotient, which means sanay ka sa trouble, hindi ka takot, then mamatay. Okay, as long as you just follow all the medical recommendations of the medical industry. Yes. Next slide, please. Okay, now this is the pivot that is happening right now, and I'm just trying to reiterate. It looks like it's muna yung ating kailangan focus, the digital marketing and the consultation services, which we also do, okay, through partnership with other companies. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, yung things that you don't want to, or you want to remember. Okay, number one, don't have debts rise faster than income. Okay, so overhead. Okay, number two, next slide, please. Do all that you can to raise productivity. This is, for me, the most important. Okay, just to give you an example, Singapore, they don't have any asset. Okay, an asset lang nila is, they have a small country, 5 million people, but they're all productive. Okay, versus, let's say, Africa, sobrang laki, ang daming diamonds and gold and minerals, but they're one of the poorest countries. Why? Productivity. So I'm sharing that everybody in your company, in your family, or in your business must be productive. So yun yung most important for me. And then, of course, next slide, please. Ito naman, there's an interesting thing. First, break all the rules, no? Actually, ito na nga yung madaming rules that's happening right now, of course, without breaking the law, no? So you have to pivot, restart, adjust, reboot, and reboot again, reinvent, and redo it paulit, repeatedly. Kasi nangyari ngayon, meron lockdown, tas open, then lockdown, tas open, new variant, etc., etc. So you have to know the rules and circumvent some. Yun na yung message ko. No? Next slide, please. Okay, so we have to now be careful in the next 2 years. See, this is now where things will be transforming and going into the new normal. Next slide, please. Okay, people will shine during the crisis to be the solution. Okay, and that's our principle. And I'd like to, of course, give an example of Merly being the solution, Congressman Mike, no? Okay, being a solution, creating good laws for the benefit of the country. Next slide, please. Okay. Ang title namin, because we have Zeus, no, right now is the chameleon. See, ang chameleon, idikit mo siya sa color red, magiging red siya. Lagyan mo siya sa green, magiging green siya. So, adaptability. So, that's, I call it transformation. So, I always remind everybody, be like a chameleon. All right. So, next slide, please. Okay. Now, ito na ngayon yung aming ginagawa before the pandemic. And just wanted to explain to you now, we're pivoting into a lot of things, no? So, we go to the next slide. Okay. Okay. And then, ito yung Zumanity namin na in-explain ni Grace. Okay. And then, next slide, please. And then, we have our zoos, our parks. Now, it's all open and basically fresh air. You get sunlight, vitamin D, and then a lot of excitement. Okay, so we'd like to convince everybody to visit us there. Next slide, please. Okay, and then we have also in Clark, we will introduce a 4x4. Okay, so walang may social distancing, walang crowd, just by your family and friends. Next slide, please. Okay, and then we have also, of course, in residence in Tagaytay, you can just go by you and your beloved with our zip lines, etc. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, and then ito yung promote ngayon namin, which is the Paradiso Farm in Mendez, Cavite. So we're teaching people the best practices of agriculture. So I want to touch on that separately in our next talk. Next slide, please. Okay, ito naman in our, basically on our Bohol, we call it Chocolate Hill. We have chocolate hills there na maliliit na replica. You can live inside the chocolate hills with your family. Okay, next slide, please. And of course, a ski resort in Japan where we have snow monkeys and you can have a hot spring and enjoy the onsen in Japan. Next slide, please. Okay. Okay, we have accommodations, micro hotel, glamorous camping, we have dome plastic tents, yung geodesic. Okay, so these are some of our glamping. Okay, it's always clean, always fumigated, and it's really say all our people there are vaccinated. Next slide, please. Ito naman yung Paradiso. Ang tawag ko dyan, banig and breakfast. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, and then we have next slide. Okay, and then you can now go mango picking in our Clark Mango Camp. Okay, and there, no, and then this is in Bohol naman. Inside the Chocolate Hill, you can live inside and have just a nice experience with the animals and the park. Next slide, please. And of course, in our ski resort in Japan, and of course, our residence inn. And then we have a small, para bang transient customers here in Makati, no, Azotea Suites, before you go to visit. Let's say you come from, let's say from Cebu, this is a transient. This is now what we're going to introduce, the plastic tents. Next slide, please. Okay. Ito ngayon mga uso, kahit nasa bahay mo, if you have a small farm, lagay mo yan. Of course, quickly lang, we have restaurants of Anli City. Okay. Now we have Samjup Salamat, say dim sum, coffee shop, etc. Now we are now offering on takeout. Dali na lang namin sa inyo yung tapos doon mag-iihaw na lang kayo sa bahay nyo, etc. No? So, but we're open also 30%, let's say, open space. We basically accept at least according to what LGU would require. Next slide, please. Okay. Yung branches namin ng Samjup Salamat, mga restaurants namin. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, we have, go to our parks, we have buses, shuttles, vans, and coasters. We call it Zumanity Wheels of Lipanco Group. Next slide, please. Ayan. Okay, so you can rent para sa mga event. Now, before ang customer namin, yung mga airline, ngayon ang customer namin, yung mga Jollibees, mga Ayalas, and all of this. Yung shuttle namin ng employees. So we're open to that. Next slide, please. Okay, ito ngayon ang exciting pivot namin. Okay, so we have misting machines. Okay, we have now introduced misting machine as low as 2,990. Mist your company, your office, your house against COVID. Introducing our DuraPro Zumanity solutions. It's half the price of alcohol, but 2.5 times stronger than alcohol. So yun yung bago namin. It's developed in America, which is a very proven scientific FDA approved technology. Next slide, please. Okay, yan. Yan yung mga things na ino-offer namin. Okay, next slide. Okay, there you are. That's the DuraPro. Okay, and then we have hypochlorous as well. Okay, alcohol as well. Next slide. Ito yung mga pivot namin. Okay, we even sell honey from our farm. So, okay, and next slide, please. And we have our tablets, our hybrid computers, and so on. Next slide, please. Okay, there you are. We have laptops, and we can also do text messaging services. Okay, lalo na yung mga gusto mag-print, stay home na lang yung mga tao, but they would be the politicians can deliver their message to our text messaging services. Next slide, please. There you are. We have air purifiers. Okay, and then next slide, please. Okay, and then yung what we really want to push as well. Everybody stay at home. Buy a piano from our new store called Yap Music, because you have a free gift certificate to our theme parks. Okay, and grand pianos, keyboard, guitar. Stay home. Later on, we'll have a competition in piano and singing, etc. through Facebook and TikTok. Okay, next slide, please. And of course, we have our real estate call center. If you want to have an instant call center, ready na kami. instant hotel, meron kaming ready. Instant condominium, ready to come in. So this is where our real estate comes in. We have invested a part of our revenues in this real estate. Ito na, naging useful na sa amin. Next slide, please. Okay, now, if we cannot buy, you, instead of renting, may introduce kami Zerto, Humanities Enhanced Rent-Own. Okay, so we have rent-own for land, condominium, buses, cars, even refrigerator. Kung gusto mo sa magtayo ng restaurant, we can rent-own chillers or whatever. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, we are now in partner with of course, banks. We're developing Yo Money, which is an e-wallet like GCash. But itong Yo Money may cashback. Okay. Number 2, may discount like miles para bang free when you use your Yo Money like a GCash. You get free rebates from the restaurants, out, etc. It will also use this in our Carrera, which will be introduced soon. Next slide, please. Okay, then we now signed a partnership with Huawei to do the cloud. Okay, so if madami kang ginagawa sa digital business mo, this is now the solution. Okay, it's a cloud where you don't need to buy many things like server, etc. Ito yung gagawa. So Huawei is one of the partners that we have. Next slide, please. All right, that's it. Okay, medyo we cut it a bit, but I hope you guys will be able to. If you need, don't hesitate to go to our website, humanity.com.ph. Thank you, Grace. Yes.
Okay, yes. So thank you once again, Robert Laurel Yupanco of Humanity Group and Yupanco Group of Companies. Actually, the Yupanco Group of Companies are here actually more than 50 years already. So we're very thankful and grateful that you are with us for today. So we learned so much, especially to keep on mentioning about invest. And that's why our company also are doing that. Kasi you mentioned also that the economy will surely open soon. So we need to plan also, okay? So we're going to open now actually our panel discussion. So I'm going to give back, of course, the first question to the President of the Manila Times, Mr. Clink Ang.
Oh, thank you, Grace. Well, first, congratulations to Ms. Marley Balicao and Mr. Robert Yupanco. I mean, fantastic stories. I'm pleased to hear that you guys have weathered the storm, and you are inspirations to many who are still struggling today. Perhaps maybe we start off with policy issues with Congressman Romero, because maybe everyone is eager about what the government will do in terms of quarantines, lockdowns. I'm sure you've been, in dialogue with the speaker, perhaps maybe even with the palace. Congressman Mikey, I'm sure you've heard, the private sector appeal to the president to consider, tiny bubbles, selective quarantines. What are you hearing? I mean, I'm sure Ms. Balicao and Mr. Yupanco and myself are eager what the government will consider moving forward in response to the pandemic. Ano po ba na pag-uusapan?
Yeah. Thank you, Clink. I'm one with you in opening up the economy, especially one of my businesses is heavily involved in tourism, which is AirAsia. No?
Yes.
Of all the things, we are the most hit, almost crushing all the airline industry to a piece of paper. Talagang hardly. And but of course, we also have this how to cope up with this public health issue, or kung kaya ba i-manage tong health protocols. No? Ako, I do believe that this will be the last of the ECQs. No? Why? It's because government cannot afford it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you do an ECQ or a GECQ or whatever you call it, no, pahaba na ng pahaba, the government is mandated or is responsible to give ayudas, no, of about 8,000, and it's about 100 billion a month for 90 million Filipinos. No? So, I don't think gagawin pa yan ng gobyerno because kailangan natin umutang para lang magbayad na ayuda. So, basically, the government cannot afford ECQs anymore, no? Or to put the country into lockdowns. No? So ako, ganyan yung pananaw ko, and especially papasok na tayo sa October 1 to 8 is the filing of national and local elections. So this might hurt a lot of yung mga nasa panig ni Duterte, President Duterte running for election or election or anything. No? So, of course, the ECQ is a... prior to the pandemic, our labor force unemployment is just about 4 million. Now it's double, up to 8 million going to 10. So just imagine how hard it is for our economy, and the unemployment sector is sobrang taas na. No? So ako tingin ko, just from my view as ECQs might not happen again. I hope. No? I hope I'm right.
Congressman, I hope magdilang ang hell kayo. Parang narinig din namin, you spoke about yung elections, na parang narinig din namin na yung COMELEC might allow some events, for some campaigning events. Parang masaklap yata yun na papayagan nila yung, kung totoo po yun, parang masaklap na papayagan yung magkampanya, pero yung mga negosyo medyo limitado pa rin. Paano pong tingin nyo mangyayari sa coming election? Ano po bang nakikita ninyong mga paraan para po matuloy yon, pero at the same time hindi tayo mapahamak sa COVID?
Last year, ng pilot dito sa Palawan, no? When they were doing a plebiscite.
Yes, the plebiscite.
Palawan, no? So it is a microcosm of what can happen in the future, or in May 9th of 2022, wherein actual elections na nangyari, the turnout was about 65%. So yun lang, may limit talaga ang pagpasok ng tao. So I don't know how COMELEC will do that on a national scale, pero most probably it will kung ano yung ginawa sa Palawan, it will be done on a national level. It will be a physical voting. We don't have any provisions under our law or under our constitution to do virtual voting. So the election must be physical, and also it should be done only in one day. So yun yung no. Now, yung campaigning, yan ang mag-iiba-iba yan. Ako, I believe mag-iiba-iba yan per region. No? Depende yan kung paano kakalat yung COVID sa bawat region nila. That's how I look at it.
Sir, before I ask questions for Ms. Baligao at Mr. Yipangco, total na pag-uusapan din yung election. Baka baka may announcement kayo. Marami na po nag-a-announce ngayon na baka pwedeng mauna na po kami makarinig sa inyo kung ano po ang plano nyo.
Congressmen, either to the party list or district, because it helps us a lot to have more economists in these times of
Tama po.
Congress.
Ms. Baligao, Mr. Yipangco, bihira po nating makasama ang Deputy Speaker. Baka meron po kayong panawagan sa kanya na sana tingnan pansin po ng ating Kongreso. Pagkakataon na po natin ito. Ms.
Yes.
Baligao, baka ladies first, gusto niyo po bang mauna? Kung wala, baka gusto nyo magpasalamat sa ginagawa po nila. But pananaw nyo po, panawagan.
Lubos po ako nagpapasalamat kay Congressman. At marami siyang nagagawang batas, maraming natutulungan. Sa akin lang po, syempre, ngayon po ang panawagan natin ay paano ba mapabalanse ng gobyerno ekonomiya talaga, tsaka ang virus. Kasi po, sinasabi lang ibabalanse, pero parang wala din po masyadong nangyayari na parang pag nag-lockdown, marami po talagang nadidevastate na parang hindi mo maintindihan kung saan ka pupunta. So maybe they can make a law na para naman or ruling na at least mabigyan naman ng solusyon. Ano ba talaga, hanggang kailan ba talaga, or ano ba talaga ang dapat gawin ng tao? Kasi po, minsan sasabihin, susundin ng ganito, bawal, sabi, kailangan face mask, face shield, pero hindi rin naman nasusunod. Pero sabi naman kasi po, sa ibang bansa, hindi daw talaga kailangan ng face shield. Pero sa Pilipinas po, ganun nga po ang batas, pero hindi rin nasusunod. Sabagay, hindi po din natin maintindihan na hindi rin po disiplinado ang kalimitan or maraming mamamayan na binabaliwala ang ganitong pagkakataon, ang ganitong pandemya po. So mahirap din yun. At yun lang po, ang hinihiling ko po na masolusyonan din po sana sa madaling panahon dahil marami na po talaga ang naghihirap ngayon. At gasino lang po yung ayuda na 1,000 per household na kung ikaw ay ilan, gasino din po aabot yon. So kailangan po talaga ng tao ngayon ay hanap buhay. At ngayon nga po ay biglang napatigil, ang iba ay talagang sarado dahil nga po siyempre nagiging super spreader. Kagaya po ng events place namin ngayon, hindi kami makapag-cater kasi ayoko rin po na magiging super spreader kami, and then siyempre po, ang gusto ko, maprotektahan din ang aming mga empleyado, yung health nila, at saka hindi kami magkaroon ng virus. So, although minsan talagang napakahirap din po talagang masabihan, pero I hope po, Congressman, na lahat po ng mga batas na ginawa naman ninyo, napakagaganda po, and very thankful po kami, and I'll take this opportunity po na thankful po ako na makasama kayo na sa ako nga po, hindi naman talagang minamalitan sarili, pero hindi ko po akalain na makakasama ako sa mga ganitong pagkakataon na makasama ako ng Congressman at Mr. Robert Yupanco, and then thank you po sa Manila Times for all this opportunity po.
At maraming salamat po, lalong-lalo na sa mga cake na pinadala nyo. I can attest po na tunay po talagang masarap at tama-tama ang tamis. Mr. Yupanco, kayo po, you have views you want to share? I mean,
yes. Well, thank you. Now, firstly, I'd like to say that I agree with what Marley said about your comments about sana may magawa na to combine the business and the medical. No? Secondly, I'd like to make mention, of course, I have been admiring Congressman Mikey Romero because of his ability to be in government at the same time be in business. And then I think he's coming out with yung solar, which is what we need kasi medyo we have two things guys now that we have coming from God, light, which is sun, and then water. Okay, libre yan, okay, so which is a farming yung ating solar. So yun yung gusto ko lang i-comment. And then I'd like to also make comment that ang pandemic heroes is not like me or Congressman or Merly. Ang pandemic heroes talaga yung Filipino people in the medical, in the farming, those mga audacious, as I would say, talagang the politicians that are really doing good laws. Yun ang really heroes, Okay, but we need to sustain that to the next government, Tatanong ko ngayon kay Congressman Mikey, ano ba yung sinusupport mo? And then, if you could really be part of it to really the next government. Okay, Mikey?
Siguro bigyan din ng pagkakataon na mag-respond si Deputy Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you, Robert. Very good friend ko, matagal na.
Yeah.
But, we cannot kill the many. The government, unang-una ho, the three branches of government, kami po are just legislative. We are not part of the executive. or we are not part on the governance. No? Pero ang sinasabi po namin sa gobyerno rin, sa ating executive branch, na we need to put a lifeline to our MSMEs, no? Itong medium, small, and micro, small, and medium enterprises. Kasi lifeblood po ng ekonomiya natin to. And we are trying our best na magkaroon ho ng stimulus package. Ano po itong stimulus package, no? We're trying our best po to put up a 200 billion fund either through DBP or Land Bank na lahat ng umutang na small and medium mabigyan ng 500,000, 1 million payable in 20 years, you know, kasi ito yung kailangan ng ekonomiya natin, no? And hopefully mapakinggan ho tayo ng ating ating mga Presidente Duterte tungkol dito, no? Pangalawa ho, itong mga lockdowns na to, itong mga ating mga health protocols na to, it's because we have still, pasensya na, matamaan na matamaan, we have a poor COVID response to this pandemic. No?
Mhm.
If you look at America, which is, I think, the best model at this stage, they're back to their feet. You know, napapanood natin sa CNN dati na New York is almost a plague city. But now, it is back to normal because of their vaccination. So the key really here is to vaccinate as fast as possible. Wala nang dili-dali, no? I asked the government or the DOH or the IATF na gawing 24 hours because we need to at least vaccinate 500,000 a day. Bakit? So that in December, back to normal na tayo. December, you should vaccinate 60%. Pagkahugan yan, hindi ka na takot lumabas. Feeling mo, 6 out of 10 na makakasabay mo, vaccinated. No? But the 40% more of them are children. So, mas mataas din yung percentage na 8 out of 10 na makakasalubong mo if you vaccinate 60% of the population are already vaccinated. So medyo malakas na yung loob mo and the herd immunity is there. So until we do that, that's the only time na the economy will be, hindi naman back to normal, but there's a semblance of normalcy. No? Ako yan ang pinupush ko talaga. Push tayo ng push dyan. No? It's really to vaccinate. Sabi ko nga, sabi ko nga sa parlamento, bakit tayo naglalagay ng pera dito sa daan, dagdag classroom? Ano is how to put the economy back to normal, and there's only one thing all around the world right now. The vaccine is more important than our money at this stage, di ba? Yung vaccine, mas importante pa yan. Dahil ako, I just lost a best friend 2 months ago, si Rafa Dinglasan, and
condolences.
Thank you, no? And because of this COVID, napakahirap no? So it has to be how to put it back to normal. And the only thing is to vaccinate. No? And I urge the government to stop dilly-dallying and do a 24-hour vaccination program already.
Congressman, parang ang dami pang gustong magpa-vaccinate. In fact, yung naalala ko, Manila Times, we published some photos nung isang bagyong dumaan, nakapila yung mga tao habang umuulan. Pero parang sapat na po ba yung vaccines natin? Ano po bang pwede pang gawin na galing po kayo sa Amerika, para nun ayaw naman nila ng vaccine, baka pwedeng pakiusapan natin silang ibigay na lang sa atin.
Well, we have to keep on procuring almost on a basis, no?
Okay.
Kung dating sa atin 5 million, 10 million, we need to vaccinate 60 million times 2. So that means we need 120 million vaccines. Or sa computation for 66 million times 2, that's about 140 million vaccines. So kailan pa darating yan sa Pilipinas, where ang dumadating sa atin at this stage is only 30 million vaccines. So we need 100
mabagal talaga.
Okay, so talagang the whole focus of our economy and how lahat is talagang the private and the government sector must help each other and to procure as many vaccines. We need 100 million more for the next 3-4 months na. Ako, that's the only way we can go back to normalcy. Pagka na-vaccinate na lahat, then we can open up our stores, our restaurants to about siguro kahit na 80% or let's say 60% na lang.
Malaking bagay.
So, yung overhead mo na cover, may konting kita ka na. Ewan ko.
Yeah, talaga. Miss Balikaw, ano po ba ang situation dyan sa inyo sa Laguna? Kasi may nababalitaan po kami sa ibang lugar, tulad po ng yung mga tourist destination natin, Boracay. Nagreklamo sila na pa 10,000 lang ang padala sa nila ng vaccine. And yun, ang dami po pong mga locals na gusto magpa-vaccinate. Bukod pa po dun, of course, dun sa mga dapat na siguro bigyan din ng mga turista para makapagbuka sila. Ano po bang na-experience nyo dyan sa inyo sa Laguna? Madali po bang magpa-vaccinate? Or yung mga tao nyo po ba nag-aantay na matagal? Or okay naman po ba? Ano po bang nakikita nyo dyan?
Sa ngayon po, medyo naman po, marami na rin ang
Marami na rin.
Kasi po, marami na rin dumarating. Pero hindi rin po agad-agad minsan natutugunan yung ibang mga nag-online na po, nag-register online. At so far naman po, maganda rin naman yung na dito. Pero marami pa rin po ang mga hospitals po ay apaw din po dito na COVID patients. And so, maisingit ko lang po, may isa pa rin po akong suggestion or prayer kay Congressman Mikey na sana po ang pinipray ko ay makalibre ng mga swab testing. Kasi ito po yung nagpapahirap dahil ang kagaya ko po, yung dati yung aming lahat ng empleyado pina-swab test at my own expense, that is 341,000. Once lang po yun. Siyempre, hindi rin naman po pwedeng lagi mong hindi rin kakayanin ng company. So prayer ko lang po, Congressman Mikey, na pwede po ba na makapaglibre or kung may mga sintomas, makahanap po kami sa aming communities, Los Baños, halimbawa po, ng libreng swab testing.
Bago natin balikan si Deputy Speaker, baka si Mr. Yupanco meron pang gustong idagdag. Kasi kami rin po, even my own household, siyempre po, pag nagbakasyon yung kasambahay po namin, kailangan po pa-swab bago bumalik. At sa opisina, ganun din po. Pag may mga nakakalusot pa rin. But Mr. Yupanco, may...
Yeah. Well, firstly, hindi sinagot ni Congressman sino yung next president na isusupport mo. I understand, no? I understand. But secondly, I agree with Merly about the free vaccine. Talagang mas yung free, anong tawag dito, swab test. No? Ang sakit sa bulsa talaga. No? Third one is, as a little suggestion to Congressman, and maybe you should influence, mag-invite tayo ng company na magaling na maggagawa dito sa vaccine sa Pilipinas. Bibigay ko yung lupa ko. Tapos doon, yung mga airline people mo or engineering can be part of making, this is on a midterm, make vaccine in the Philippines. Doon mo na lang yung i-pivot yung airline mo partly or with Merly's pwede natin lagay sa I have a space anywhere in Clark or somewhere in Batangas. No? So let's all help each other. Yun lang ang gusto ko. Everybody is part of the solution, including Dante. No? We'll put all our energies into solving these things. Yeah.
Deputy Speaker?
Yeah, kinakausap namin yung DOH, Department of Health, how to, hindi naman libre, but how to lower yung RT-PCR to about sana less than 500 pesos. Or bigyan lang ng konting spread itong mga gumagawa nitong testings na to. But I think libre naman sa barangay, well, dito sa Metro Manila, libre ang RT-PCR sa barangay if you have symptoms. Kasi yung mga symptomatic or kung may mga symptoms dito sa barangay, DOH may ano na dyan, may partnership with the various LGU, barangay LGUs. But again, the solution is not even, of course, it helps to know yung antigen tests or the PCR. But still, I believe, huwag na tayong tumingin kung saan-saan. It's vaccinate 50%, 60% of our yan. So, for me, that's it.
Deputy
So,
Speaker.
naman si Robert, pare, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oo. Wala pa kaming presidential board. Mahirap because I'm the leader of the party list coalition. We're aligned with the present administration.
Iba-viber na lang daw sa inyo, Mr. Yupanco. Deputy Speaker, baka pwede nyo ikwento yung nangyayari sa PBA ngayon. Baka meron tayo mapulot doon. Because I heard na parang semi-bubble ngayon. Baka meron po ba, I mean, everybody misses, of course, watching professional basketball dito sa atin. Talagang pastime na ng mga Pinoy. Meron po bang mga ginagawa doon sa liga na tingin nyo pwedeng gawin din ng ibang industriya? Ano po ba maybe balitaan nyo muna po kami kung paano po ngayon na babalik yung mga PBA games natin.
Yung PBA is sila na parang lahat ng players, coaches, they're just in a few hotels.
Sa Pampanga.
And tsaka hotel lang sila. So hindi sila lumalabas doon. No? In fact, pag lumabas ka sa bubble na yun, o magpunta ka sa McDonald's na katabi, you will be penalized. In the tourism industry, we have started to do that. No?
Okay.
For a while, itong sa Palawan, itong sa El Nido, that Manila to El Nido, may bubble ang Ayala dyan. And then we have to do these things, yung bubble tourism, no?
Mm-hmm.
Lahat ng vaccinated, let's say sa Korea, na talagang they can present within 48 hours that they are negative, and then go here sa Boracay, yung din walang COVID, no? And in 2 days, mag-PCR din sila, and then to open up the economy, little bits and pieces. Alam mo, lahat ngayon, anything that you do with our economy, opening up, kahit nakatiting lang, opening up a sari-sari store, it helps already.
Yeah.
Ilang yung economy, but uplift yung sarili mo eh. It's very, alam mo, nakaka-disappoint or nakakalungkot pag, ay, sarado na pala si ganyan restaurant, sarado na pala si gantong store pag nakita mo sa mall. Parang sa'yo, ano ba nangyari sa ekonomiya na? Ano ba nangyari sa buong mundo ngayon, di ba? So, opening up, makita mo lang bukas, let's say, nakita mo yung isang Jollibee bukas, ano na or yung restaurant ni Ma'am Merly, nakakatulong na sa mental health ng isang tao, di ba? Kikita mo na nagiging normal kahit papano. So ako, I'm really how to open up the economy as a whole.
Now, I forgot na yung co-host natin, baka may gustong tanong, pasensya ka na, Grace, medyo na-monopolize ko yung mga questions. Alam mo, old habits of a reporter. Pasensya na. Baka meron kang gustong tanong, Grace.
Okay, so thank you so much. Actually, I'm just jotting down and listening and nai-inspire dito sa ating mga speakers who are leaders, of course. So I heard, okay, vaccine is very, very important. That's from Congressman, which is true. And that's why we have this kind of platform under the Manila Times, because information dissemination is really very, very important. Because until now, there are still some people who are afraid to go out and to be vaccinated. So that's one thing that we really need to push. That's why we have the Manila Times. That's why we have this platform for the information dissemination effectively. Okay, and then as what mentioned, of course, of Robert Yupanco, that everybody is part of the solution. So that's very, very true. In unity talaga, we can do more. So one question, of course, that I want everyone to answer. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you heard that we have the case already last time? Okay, the first thing, di ba? Nag-start yan, we heard it, isang tao lang dito sa BGC. And now, average for this week, if I'm not mistaken, 18, 20,000. So what do you think? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you first heard it? And now, how are you going to, as part of the solution, what's the contribution of each and everyone? Okay, I think I'd like to hear first from, of course, from the congressman.
Yeah, syempre, itong pandemic na to, nung unang napunta sa Pilipinas, I think that was February of 2020. Medyo ayaw mo na lumabas kasi the press release was that this pandemic is nakakapatay, no? Nakakamatay. But ngayong we learn about it, no? We learn how to do our health protocols, no? We know how to manage it. No? I guess in life at this stage, we have to live with it. Will it be gone for the next 1 year? I don't think so. Will it be gone for the next 2 years? Maybe, maybe not. I think over the next 3 years, may mag-win out to, pero we have to live with it for the next 2-3 years. And to live with it, it has to be health protocols. We need to do measures, how to open the economy here, how to cope up with surges in COVID. So lahat yan kailangan, it's really management and government, as I say, especially the executive branch. Talagang bawat problem has kumbaga, may susundan na silang 1 to 10. No? Pag nag-surge, ito, 1 to 10 gagawin. Pag ang ekonomiya natin, how to open up, 1 to 10 gagamitin natin. So, kailangan dikahon na yan. No? Parang, di ba, I take the example of an airline again. Di ba, pagka may nangyari, pag emergency, ito gagawin. Pagka ito yung steps. So, we need to really put in context the 1 to 10 steps for economy, health, how to put stimulus packages to our small, medium enterprises. So, for me, that's how we can do it. No? Ako kasi, I have to find solutions. No? I cannot be stuck with the problem because that's the type of leader I am. I try to always find solutions on how to move our country forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, our Honorable Congressman Michael Romero. I like it. Always finding solution. Dapat hindi talaga tumitigil, no? So, especially during this pandemic, we don't know if we're still going to be alive tomorrow, di ba? So, talagang we really need not to stop, okay? And I like it also when you mentioned that we need to do something. Parang hindi pa pwedeng nakabox. Dapat talaga there's a thing that step by step, we have that in place, something like that. Okay, thank you so much, Congressman. So how about Miss Merly? All right, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you heard that there's a case already here in the Philippines, and what are you doing right now?
Talagang ang unang-una po ay sobrang takot. Kasi during that time, hindi natin alam at hindi naranasan ng kahit na mga lola at lolo natin yung ganitong pagkakataon. So naandun po yung panic, yung anxiety, hindi ka makatulog kasi iniisip mo na, lalo po at my age, I'm already 70, na takot kang lumabas. Hindi ako takot sa takot din po ako na mahuhuli ng mga sabi ko baka ako'y mabilanggo dahil lang sa ako'y matigas ang ulo. Bukod po doon, dahil siyempre, hindi natin nakikita itong ating kalaban, so mahirap. So talagang hindi ko po din alam kung magsasara, lalo po nung first time talaga is lockdown, sarado kami ng 2 months. So yun po ang nangyari. So ang ginawa po din agad namin, is yun nga po, nagbigay agad kami ng mga ayuda sa aming sa mga empleyado. And then, sa ngayong panahon po, we have to understand each other. We have to be disciplined. Kasi kung walang discipline ng mga tao, matigas ang ulo, ayaw sumunod sa mga protocols, then mahihirapan tayong mawala itong virus. And isa pa po is yun nga, yung have to coordinate kung may mga symptoms or mga ubo, sipon, kailangan po ma-monitor agad and then report it to the LGU. So we can parang easy na mapiprevent mo ang mga viruses. And then, yun nga po, kailangan din is educating people, our employees, and everybody kasi hindi sila educated kung ano ang dapat gawin pag nagkaroon ka kasi feeling nila ang ubo, sipon, lagnat, very common naman ito po before. It's just flu or inom ka lang ng biogesic or kung anong paracetamol. But this time, iba ito. Konting sipon, konting hatching, nakakatakot talaga po, nakakatakot. Meron lang sa tabi mong mapaubo, takot ka na, baka mahawa ka na, baka magka-virus ka, baka bukas patay ka na. Hindi man na kasi sobrang bilis nga daw ng virus na to. So yun lang po ang sa akin, kailangan is understanding, communication, and educating people.
All right, so understanding, communication, and educating people, it's the same thing, information dissemination or effective information dissemination. So we're encouraging everyone. Ang sabi nga nila, di ba, ang pagtutok o bakuna, ang sagot para mawala na itong pandemya. Okay, so with regards to Robert, we all know that you have a lot of animals with you. So when you first heard that there's a pandemic or there's a case already, that one case, the multiple cases. So what first comes to your mind? Because you have so many animals last I checked, and that years ago, you have like 52 tigers, a lot of rare animals. So what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, now, firstly, Grace, thank you for opening that subject. No? Just wanted to share my personal opinion. Most of the diseases, okay, it's really triggered because you abuse the animals, no? Okay, pinaktan mo yung animals. So, for example, Ebola came from the monkey, etc. So, kapag inabuso mo yung animals, lumalabas yung defense mechanism nila, and then they produce mga viruses, etc., etc. So, please support our zoos. Please take good care of the animals. Do not hurt them. Do not kill them. Number one. But lahat ng solution naman, okay, because coming from that, comes from the plants, seaweeds, mga sea plants, etc. So, God made that, ang tawag doon, ecology, no? Okay, so, problems is triggered by human beings, and then the animals create viruses, but the plants are the solution. So, plant tayo. Plant everything that we could plant. So, that's number one. Okay, number two, since sabi ni Congressman, okay, vaccinate. Wow, I agree with that, no? And then sinasabi naman ni Merly, let's have a PCR. Okay, kung maaari, subsidized naman. Para matrace natin yan. Wow, I really agree with that, Merly. Sana nga, ako nga, nagpa-PCR test. 3,000 pesos. Kasi service, ang mahal, no? So, and then my staff pa, kung 10 kami, 30,000 mo. And lastly, just wanted to add, yung, alam mo, para yung kalaban mo na sa labas, bahala tumatama kung saan-saan. To protect yourself, stay home, but if you have to go out and be a hero, okay, then take a lot of vitamins, take a lot of mga preventive things like stay healthy, rest well. Napansin ko, pag nakapahinga ka, Merly, and guys, no, lesser ang chance mo magkasakit kasi yung body mo is strong, ang immune system, etc., with vitamins, etc. Ako nga, mismo, kumukuha pa rin ako ng ivermectin. Nakabaksina ako, I stay home, paglalabas ako, nakamask, and then I do exercise, no? And but at the end, okay, it's repivoting, restarting, re-innovate, reboot again, and restart again. Ganun ngayon ang magiging moves natin that we have to do, no? At the end, I was just saying, okay, there are only 4 things for me na sa mind ko lagi. Okay, number 1, pray and honor God and disciple. That's number 1, our divine creator. Sabi nga niya, stay home, okay, protect the animals, plant. Okay. Number 2, follow your star. Okay, if ang linya do my family comes from political family, but ako, I want to do my own little contribution to business. No. Number 3, have a family. You can have your family with the animals, with whoever you have, with your loved ones. No. And then last but not the least, which is basically what the politicians and other things are doing, do something good for the country and community. Yun na yung apat na things lang na. The rest is wasting your time. Okay? You're squandering time. So yung apat lang yung one, honor God, follow your star, have a family, okay, and then something good for your country, for your community, etc. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, Robert Laurelio Pangco. So now I'm actually receiving a lot of questions. So this actually for Congressman, sa ating butihing Congressman, is actually Richard Agbayani. Richard Agbayani actually is the past Lieutenant Governor of Kiwani's Philippine Luzon District, and which actually 104 years globally existing. All right. So this actually for sa ating butihing Congressman, can the government do a mandatory vaccination or just accede to the voluntary system, or is it a question of availability and the logistic to administer it as fast as possible? And also if the booster will be implemented talaga po, Congressman. Go ahead, Congressman.
Well, first, mandatory vaccination would be very hard, no? It is always a choice. So, mahirap i-force, no? And magugulat kayo that siguro 30-40% are against vaccines in the Philippines, no? Especially pagka pumunta ka sa mga probinsya, alam mo, naniniwala sila doon na first, yung vaccine, hindi ka na magkakaanak. Second, yung vaccine, magkakaroon ka ng kung ano-anong sakit after. So, yung mga myth na nangyayari because of lack of information dissemination din by the part of DOH, mas nangunguna pa. So, if you hear your kasambahay, you will hear stories na nanay ko ayaw magpabaksin, kapatid ko ayaw magpabaksin dahil ganyan daw mangyayari. Magiging zombie daw sila in one month's time. So, di ba? So, we have to step up kasi kailangan din sila magpabaksin, no? But your second question was what?
The second question, Congressman, is it the question of availability and the logistics to administer it as fast as possible? Kasi di ba nagkukulang tayo, or may nabasa pa ako at narinig na na-expired na, and then kulang tayo nito. We're still waiting from different countries. So ano po bang nagiging problema? Bakit po nagkakaroon?
No, as I told you, we need to vaccinate 66 million to get the herd immunity, meaning times 2 to. So we need at least 135 million vaccines, and dumadating pa lang is 30 million. And ano na vaccinate is almost 20 million. So we need to double time, no? Gising na gobyerno. Magising na tong DOH. Step up. Hindi namin pwedeng pabayaan na lang ang buhay ng mga Pilipino nasa kamay nyo. You really have to step up. Si Duque and the DOH has to really step up, no? And I have if I may, I just have another, because we're talking about COVID-19 response, no? I just have one issue addressed to everyone, especially the Manila Times. Now, there is one thing that we have overlooked, and this has become parang a new problem, no, in the making, no? And if we can give several articles or several information about this, so much the better, no? It's the mental health issue, no, of the pandemic. Especially, hindi na normal yung mga buhay ng mga bata, no? 18 years old and below, or even yung matatanda, no? It's been 2 years, hindi na sila. So we have to really focus on how to, especially, you know, if you live in a house na pagtingin mo sa kanan, dingding na, pagtingin mo sa kaliwa, dingding na. So, for 2 years, para kang kinulong, you know. Yung mentality mo has, we have to do something about it also, no? And I encourage nga Manila Times, you have the platform to how to cope up with this, partner. The ano kasi has to come from the private sector kasi sa gobyerno standstill na wala nang magagawa. The psychologists or psychiatrists are in the private sector. Kailangan kumbaga, ewan ko kung paano natin matutulungan tong side na to. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Congressman. Pero Congressman, your last message to our viewers, listeners, and then after that, si Ms. Merly, and then si Sir Robert, and then of course, from our President under the Manila Times. Your last message, Honorable Congressman Mikey Romero.
Una-una, nagpapasalamat ako for doing this webinar, and I feel also as privileged to be with pillars of industry like Madam Merly and Robert, and of course to my friend Klink and Grace. Really, it's a privilege. It's so good to express yourself in such a forum like this, no? Kasi sometimes our feelings are, kahit na parliamentarians kami, naitatago, hindi namin masabi lahat to. It's very good to express. It's very parang nakapagsalita rin ako, parang ganyan. And thank you for doing this webinar, no? Again, we are in a period of COVID. Last year, 2020, we were hit the worst. No, we had the worst economy from a 6% GDP. We were hit by negative 20 GDP, the worst since 1940s. No? So I call on the leaders of this country talaga to step up, not just for our economy, but for our children. We need to step up in the economy, in the health, in all sectors of our society. And hindi pwedeng patulog-tulog na lang tayo, hindi rin pwedeng somebody else will do it for us. No? It's us who has to do something. No? We have to be more progressive. We have to stand up and be counted. No? Ako yun lang. No? Rest assured that I will do my best to try to move the country forward and to help lahat na magagawa ko. No? But I also encourage the others. I cannot do it alone. We cannot do it. Kahit magsama-sama tayo, we have to move as a country. We have to move as part of the solution. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Congressman Mikey Romero. We need to move as a country. We need to be together. Okay? So next, ayan, Ms. Merly, your last message.
Lubos po ako nagpapasalamat at nakasama ako sa webinar ngayong umaga na ito at siyempre po hindi ko rin nakalain talaga na makakaharap ko yung si Congressman Mikey at si Sir Robert Chupanco at kayo po lahat sa Manila Times, si Sir Dante, kayo po Ma'am Grace, salamat po ng marami sa inyo. And ako po ang ay sana po yung mga small and medium enterprises, sana din po makabangon na economy para kahit papaano marami pong natutulungan. Kasi po yung mga tao, nakagaya ko po, high school graduate lang ako, na kaya nga po sinasabi ko na hindi ko akalain na mapapasama ako sa mga ganitong mga usapan. Binibigyan po tayo ngayon ng tsansa na kung tayo may mga small and medium enterprise na makakasimula na, makakastart na, then siyempre yung ating bansa matutulungan natin, then yung ating economy, malaking tulong po na magkaroon ng hanap buhay ang mga maliliit na tao na mga hindi rin nakapagtapos. So yun lang po. At ako'y nagpapasalamat po sa inyong lahat, sa Manila Times, at sa aking pamilya, kay Nelson, sa aking pong 3 anak, kay Bernard, kay Edward, at kay Carmela. At sa lahat po ng aming staff ng Mernels family po. Salamat po ng marami. At kay Sir Nals po na makatapos po ako ngayong umaga. Maraming salamat po. And I hope and I pray na nasimulan ko po ito ngayon At siguro po, nagkaroon na po ako, Sir Dante, ng lakas ng loob ngayon na sabi nga ko, hindi ko sisimulan ngayon kailan pa na makasama sa mga ganitong pagpupulong na makakapagdagdag din po ng mga suhestyon at mga ibang mga experiences ng aming hanap buhay na mula sa simula, mula sa hirap, ay ngayon po ay awa ng Diyos ay nakakaraos na at maraming natutulungan. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, Miss Merly Balikaw of Mernels. Actually, our leaders right now, our speakers are full of humility. I think that's the common denominator of a person to become a successful. Kasi pare-pareho eh. Very, very humble. Okay, so next, Robert Laurel Yupanco of Yupanco Group of Companies.
Thank you, Grace. Firstly, I'd like to thank again Manila Times through Dante. Grace, thank you, and the team. Very good ang team mo, Dante. Ang galing when I coordinated. Of course, above all, to congratulate Congressman Mikey and then Merly for giving a shining example of a very good governance. No? And then I'll just repeat, Grace, really, ang pandemic heroes is not me, basically. Ang heroes talaga, all the Filipino people that has shown audacity, no, and who's very, very brave to be part of the solution of this country. Okay, just wanted to remind sana everybody, don't forget to pray and honor God. Number one, follow your star, kung saan ka magaling, etc. Thirdly, put up a family of workers or family of your own family that you love, no? And then last but not the least, do good for the country, for the community, and for even for your in your house, no? So of course, ako medyo konting commercial, no? So don't forget to buy your Yamaha piano, guitar. Stay home, enjoy the guitar, no? And then the piano. And then, of course, pag may time ka, kung ka na, bored ka na sa bahay mo, visit our parks. Okay, theme parks. We have that open area with all vaccinated our team members. No? Eat in our restaurant, Samjup Salamat. Meron tayo all around the Metro Manila and cosmopolitan areas. No? And then use our shuttles and so on, and so on. And buy our, what they call that, misty machines, our griller, to cook your Samjup Salamat, etc., etc., etc. So, super salamat, and I'm so happy to be part of this event. Thank you so much, Grace and Dante. Yes.
Okay, so thank you once again to our three. Very humble talaga. Humility is really the key. And I would like also to take this opportunity to take the Manila Times for this partnership under Tag Media Group. So it's very overwhelming, and it's actually our pleasure to always with the Manila Times. So back to you, Sir Klink.
Thank you. Well, you know, on behalf of the Manila Times, I'd like to thank all our resource persons today. First of all, Deputy Speaker Romero, we're in lockstep with you and bringing to the national attention the important issues, particularly mental health. Asahan niyo po yan, sir. We will reach out. I think we agree with you. It's an important one that we should pay more attention to. So if you have any other initiatives, sir, that will be good for the country, expect us to be there. Just call on us, just to tell us how we can do our part. Mr. Yupanco, thank you also. Your stories of pivoting during this pandemic has been very interesting, and we look forward to going outdoors and perhaps enjoying your parks. But I'm glad to see that you are going into other opportunities. And lastly, Ms. Balikaw, thank you. Your story has been very inspiring. Kung mamalapatin nyo, baka imbitahan po kami namin kayo imbitahin, at napakaganda po at napaka-inspiring na inyong storya. So kung sinasabi nyo medyo naninibago po kayo, dadalasan po namin na pag-imbita sa inyo, at napakaganda po ng inyong story at ng Mernel's story po. So maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat. And of course, Grace, yung moving force behind this event today, thank you very much. This could not have happened without your work and your team's work at Tag Media. So maraming salamat sa inyong lahat, and see you all at the next Business Forum.
Thank you. Thank you. Stay safe, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks to our
Everyone,
speakers.
thank you for joining us.
Thanks.